Hello, it's Ms. Huser, and today we will be going over Lesson 1 on Unit 7. Alright, so last unit, just got a few more lessons to go, and then we're done with the school year. So we're almost there. So this last unit, what we'll be talking about is exponents. Alright, so we're going to do a little review starting off with this first lesson. So we're going to start off by looking at these 4 different expressions, and what I want you to do is write down 2 different things or 2 different reasons why you might think one of these doesn't belong, and I want you to pick 2 different ones at least. Okay, if you can find something for all of them, great. If not, that's okay. So I want you to pause the video and write something down that you think makes one of these not belong, and there are no right or wrong answers. Okay, so the first one that sticks out to me is this 8, because if I look at all of these other options, they all have exponents, but this one doesn't. So I'm going to say no exponent. Alright, now the next one that stuck out to me, at least, was this one right here, and that's because we're multiplying 2 different terms. None of these are except this one. So multiplying 2 terms, or 2 different numbers there. All right, now this last one, if you were to simplify each of these expressions, all of them except this one would equal 8. So if you simplified these 3, they would all end up equaling 8 except this one. So doesn't equal 8. Alright, so remember there's no right or wrong answers for that one. Alright, so now on to this next activity. So Maya and Andre found an old brass bottle that contained a magical genie, and they freed the genie, and it offered them each of them a magical $1 coin as thanks. So the magic coin turned into 2 coins on the first day, the 2 coins turned into 4 coins on the second day, the 4 coins turned into 8 coins on the third day. So this doubling pattern continued for 28 days. So when they say a doubling pattern, that means they're going to take whatever you have and multiply that by 2 to get your next number. So we took 1 multiplied by 2, you get 2. You take 2 and multiply it by 2, you get 4. You have 4, multiply that by 2, and you get 8. So that's what it means by doubling. You aren't adding 2 each time, you're actually doubling that number. Alright, so down here it says Maya was trying to calculate how many coins she would have, and remembered that instead of writing 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 for the number of coins on the 6th day, she could just write 2 to the 6th power. So let's go ahead and test this theory out. So on my calculator, I'm going to take 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. I think that's enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we took 2 and multiplied it by itself 6 times, and we get 64. And she's saying that if we just plugged in 2 to the 6th power, we would get the same answer. So let's go ahead and try that. So I want you to type in 2, and then we're going to hit this caret key. So when you click that, it then shifts the little text box up to where that power symbol would be. And then we're going to type in the number 6. So now it looks just like what they gave us, 2 to the 6th power. If you hit enter, you get 64. So that is a true statement. Alright, so 2 to the 6th power is the same as saying you're taking 2 and multiplying it by itself 6 times. Just like what this visual is right there. Alright, so the number of coins Maya had on the 28th day is a very, very large number. Write an expression to represent this number without computing its value. Alright, so up here, to figure out what she had on the 6th day, she took 2 and put it to the 6th power. So if we want to figure out what she has on the 28th day, we could just take 2 and put it, I'm right in the wrong spot, 2 and put it to the 28th power. Alright, so same situation, just a different number. And we don't need to find the exact value, so we can just leave it right there. Alright, so now it says Andre's coins lost their magic on the 25th day. So Mai has a lot more coins than he does. How many times more coins does Mai have than Andre? Alright, so first let's write an expression for Andre. So Andre's would be 2 to the 25th power because it stops on the 25th day. And Mai's was 2 to the 28th because that's what day it stops. So let's think to ourselves, how many more days does Mai's keep continuing versus Andre? So stops at the 25th, and then Mai continues until the 28th. So 26th, 27th, 28th. That is 3 more days than Andre. So if up here these represented each day, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we want to represent 3 more days, we can take 2 times 2 times 2, 1, 2, 3 more days, to figure out how many times more Mai has than Andre in coins. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 times 2 is 8. So Mai has 8 times as many coins as Andre. Alright, so the wording's a little unique there, but you have to think about it like on that 25th day, we're going to take that many coins and then double it. So it's going to be a very large number. So taking something 8 times as many is going to be a very large number. Alright, now let's look at another situation that's very similar here. So after a while, Jada picks up a coin that seems different than the others. She notices that the next day, only half of the coin is left. So she has 1 coin and it's slowly diminishing. So on the second day, only 1/4 of the coin is left. On the third day, 1/8 of the coin remains. So it's getting split into half each time. So instead of doubling, it's shrinking by half. So instead of multiplying 2 by 2 by 2, like on that last problem, we're going to multiply 1/2 by 1/2 by 1/2. And so if we think about it, on that second day, we'd have 1 day and 2 days. I'll write that below. If we do that, if we multiply 1/2 times 1/2, multiply across, and you get 1/4. That's what we have here. Thanks. If we do that one more time for the third day, you take 1/4 and multiply it by 1/2, and you get 1/8. So that pattern is just going to keep continuing. So you're going to multiply by 1/2 each day. Alright, now it says what fraction of the coins remain after 6 days? So that would be 3. This would be 4. This would be 5. And then this would be, I wrote 6. This would be on the 6th day. So what we can do is multiply the bottom across and multiply the top across to figure out our answer. So 1 times itself 6 times is 1. And then 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 64. So 1/64 of that coin remains. So not a whole lot. So 1/64 is 1/64 of that coin remains. Now let's think about, if we wrote this out this way, there's probably another way we could write this as well. So up above here, when we had 6 2's times itself, we were able to write 2 to the 6th power. So we have 6 1/2s. So what we can do is have 1/2 to the 6th power, and we would get 1/64. So let's go ahead and type that into our calculator. So if I hit the fraction button, which is right here, I'm going to have, my bad, if I type that in, 1/2 to the 6th power looks just like that. We end up with 1/64, which is true. Alright, now it says, what fraction of the coin remains after 28 days? Write an expression to describe this without computing its value. So we'd have 1/2 to the 28th power. So 28 days, that's how many times we're going to multiply 1/2 by itself. Alright, now it says, does the coin disappear completely? If so, after how many days? Well, we start off with a whole coin, and then the next day it splits in half. So now we're left with half of that coin. Well, after that, we are left with half of that, what we had that day. And it's just going to keep splitting each time and continuing. Sorry. Okay. So it's just going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So since we're always going to have something to take a half of, there will always be something there. So does it disappear completely? No, because we always have half as much left over. So there we go with that. Alright, so that is it for today's lesson. Just a reminder, if you're plugging this stuff into your calculator to double check your work or anything on the practice problems, say I want to write 4 to the 3rd power. You're going to type in 4, and then you hit this caret button, and then it brings it up to the top, and then you type in whatever exponent you need, and that's how you'll get your answer. So just a reminder on how to type that into your calculator. Alright, so that is it. Have a good rest of your day, and never hesitate to reach out to your teacher if you have any questions.